Hello and welcome to a brand new Unsourced right here. We're back again for the fifth week in a row and counting. It hasn't gone us yet. Children of the Corn 5, Fields of Terror. Can you feel the terror here? I can. As we jump into the fifth one, and wow, they pull out all the stops here because this is probably one of the better ones I've seen in terms of just I did not expect anything about this. I went in totally shocked. Every second of this shocked me in new and interesting ways, and it really shows that if you're entries deep into a horror series, it's really up. It's really your fault if you're not being fun and entertaining anymore. But let's go around the table. Tony, why don't you tell us what you thought about this first impression?
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a conversation about this movie before we started recording, and I feel as though I'm going to be the person who's going to be the most negative on this film. Like the good thing I'll say about this movie is that it is the most traditional horror film of the entire Children of the Corn franchise. Like this is at least a structure that matches with slashers of the era, as well as keeping some of the things that have made this series attempt to be cohesive. My main issues with this film come from the fact that it's goofy, but it's not goofy enough. It tries to have a serious streak to it, and we stick with the wrong characters. There are certain elements that I wish we could have fleshed out a bit more, but I did appreciate many of the campier elements. I like the fact that David Carradine just looked like he was hungover the entire time, and he was just sitting in his chair. There's certain things to enjoy about it. But ultimately, if I were to rank it on the Children of the Corn list so far, it's like probably one of the better ones just by default, just because it's competent. But at the same time, if you were to say like, oh, I'm playing Children of the Corn 5 tonight, I'd be like, I don't know about that one. Last thing I'll say is apparently this movie's original title was Field of Screams, which, come on, guys, like that was the right answer.
That would have been way better. It would have fit. It would have set you up for what this movie does a
Yeah,
lot
it's just
better.
cleaner too, right? It's just better to say.
Fields of Terrors, too many syllables. You know.
Yeah, no, too many
Anyway,
consonants.
Mikhail, first impressions, Fields of Terror.
I am honestly thinking this might be the best Children of the Corn movie so far. I mean, like or maybe the second best. I'm not sure. It's kind of fighting with number three, with Urban Harvest, for me, because I was just continuously impressed with what this movie was doing. It definitely felt like way more cohesive to me than a lot of the previous movies. It unlike the last movie was basically all mood and vibes, and this one felt like it actually had a plot. It had a sense of like progression and energy. I liked the tone of it, or rather the how should I put it? There were definitely these weird tonal shifts here, but that felt appropriate to me, and I feel it was definitely uh, um, I liked the comedic part of this. You know, I don't know. I just feel it has a lot of stuff that gels. I mean, definitely, it felt like a slightly bigger budgeted movie than the last one. And maybe it wasn't bigger budgeted, but at least like it sort of felt like they used their resources better. Um, and overall, it was fun. I mean, I was surprised just by the cast of this movie because I didn't know Eva Mendes was in this movie. I didn't know David Carradine was in this movie. I didn't know Fred Williamson was in this movie, and I also didn't realize this would be a Scooby Doo movie because it is so totally a Scooby Doo movie.
Yeah, no, they wear this on the sleeve. They got the gang's all here. Yeah, Fred, Shaggy, Daphne, and Velma. It had to have been intentional. This someone was like, "What if we just plug the Scooby Gang into a Children of the Corn movie?" And I gotta say, I think the results are much better than the Scooby Doo project.
I also, well, we can debate on the merits of Monsters Unleashed because that is a fantastic sequel. But what I will say about the setup is that they at least did the smart thing in terms of setting this up as like a teen movie, right? The idea
Yes.
of teenagers being the protagonists makes a lot of sense, especially considering this is about like Children of the Corn. I would say like maybe with our central 4 leads, you know, like they're all clearly like adults in their 20s, late 20s. So like maybe they could have hired people who maybe looked a bit younger or something. But it is a little ridiculous to be like, here's like 25-year-old Eva Mendes and she's a 17-year-old, and you're like, what do you mean? What? That doesn't make any sense.
They rah represent. Okay.
I mean, that was the convention, though, wasn't it? Especially for Dimension Films. Like, this was the first, I think, Children of the Corn movie to come out after Scream, right?
That's right. Yeah. So this is, and you're absolutely right to bring up Scream in relation to this, right? Like that's very much so a marker of this period, right? Like the whole like CW, like you're like, you know, people in their 30s, you know, playing teenagers. But it's like when it comes to you know, Eva Mendes and all these characters, like I'm not sure how strict we'll be on in terms of like plot synopsis or whatever. Like, sure, they are in the Scooby-Doo framework, but none of them hold a candle to any of the Scooby-Doo characters. Like I watch these characters and I go, oh geez, I'm excited for this character to figure this thing out. I still see them as like, mechanics.
There's very little investigating going on, but
yeah, it's more like wandering into the right moment at the right time.
Yeah, like let's investigate, gang, and boom, you just get it. It's it.
I'm gonna go milk a cow or something, you know, like starts like, you know, like poking his nose into barns and shit and confronts a guy with a huge axe.
I like how the not Shaggy looks like Tom Green. Like,
yeah,
he really does look like late 90s, you know, incarnate.
Yes, this is, you know what, they should have made Cabin in the Woods then with this cast and went much better. I think they could have nailed it.
I mean, that would have worked. I would have watched it. And like, you know, I don't think that anybody in this movie is particularly good, but they do fit those classical archetypes.
Yeah, this is very much like a standard boilerplate kind of teen slasher film. It's meant to be kind of hip. It's meant to be kind of meta. There's a really ironed on horror comedy patch just steamed onto this thing. Like whatever the original script might have been or the original pitch might have been, it just railroaded over to be like this utterly 90s sort of like monstrosity, and I love it.
This is probably a good point for us to bring up the person who made this movie. I think his name's Ethan Wiley.
Yes.
He's like the creative force behind the House movies from the 80s. And the reason I want to bring this up is because like secret lore about Rollatoni. I've seen the first House movie so many times. That was one of those DVDs I just had in my house, and I just watched that movie over and over again. And I revisited it not too long ago, and that movie sucks. Like, like there are some good moments in it. It's better when it's eerie, but really when it's like cheesy camp comedy, it's not the same as Evil Dead because it doesn't have like the kind of like worn in factor to it. I do feel as though this filmmaker feels better suited in this realm, you know, straight to DVD, late era in a series. I feel like this actually suits this filmmaker's speed more.
No, I mean, I honestly, even though this would not be like in my top of the series so far, it is. I'll give Mikhail this. You understand what it's going for a lot more than the other ones, because what the fuck was I still trying to wrap my head around what Final Sacrifice are trying to do, and I know I like The Gathering. I like it. Its thriller suspense tones were very fleeting and maybe even unintentional. Everything in Children of the Corn 5 is very intentional. Like you can tell this is part of a vision of some kind. There was thought put into this. That's what I'll give it. There was thought put into it.
I just want to say also that something that really stood out to me this time around was the music. I mean, I guess the music does stand out to me in general, but here especially, because I was just like, sometimes like the score really seems like this hip 90s thing.
Yes.
And other times like, though,
play the Smash Mouth immediately, man.
Yeah, but other times I could swear they were doing stuff that was like they were maybe cribbing some of the score from Aliens. Like there were a few passages where, wait a minute, that sounds like the score from Aliens. Anybody notice
I
that?
wouldn't put it past them. I like honestly, I like my only notes on the music were like, oh, this sounds like stock music. So like,
Yes.
I didn't really have a lot of like passionate feelings about the music, but I'll take your word for it. I'm sure you got that better than I did.
I mean, no, he's not wrong. Like there'll be parts where like just cue up, let's see here, Walking on the Sun, because like that first moment where we see Laszlo and his girlfriend just bursting down through the lanes, man. It's like this is just tune up if anything, man. Get some what's 311 on here, you know?
So like, what if we shot this, but like at a 90-degree angle, so like the car's going sideways? Like it's that kind of filmmaking.
It's it captured it. It feels like a parody of a kind of a 90s film while trying to capture that tone. It like if this was a skit on like a variety show like Mad or like SNL, right? I would believe it. Like that. Let's do like the stupid 90s slasher version of Children of Corn. This is how I would imagine someone would pitch some jokes about it. Like, oh man, there's sex dolls everywhere, and like everyone's too hip and too cool. Someone has like a little, goatee, soul patch mashup.
One of the children of the corn has like Bjork braids. Like,
yes. Oh my god, oh my god, you're right. Oh, what the fuck was up with that? Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the children because they're the first thing I shop. Before we even get to the teens, your children of corn. All right. All right. So the first scene of this thing, we'll start from the top. The first scene of this thing that we were talking about is kind of like this weirdly out of place, artful kind of shot where you see in the middle of all of this corn, roses are blossoming, and someone comes along and just crushes it in their hand. Boom, boom, and then we get like this silly Goosebumps font, "Children of the Corn 5." It's like the most like, what is this font? Okay, it's so kiddie. It's like I guess maybe that's also something that kind of tips you off that this is not going to be a serious one, and not that it's trying to be. I don't think at all, but then that we never get back to that. That's just for poetic purposes. Seeing the rose getting crushed, it's meant to like, okay, nothing can survive in this corn. Love, innocence, youth. It all gets destroyed by the corn. See, it's very artful. I'm a genius.
It does feel a little more pretentious, right? Because like 4, right? Like 4 had tone, right? 4 had like tension, and like if 4 were to have opened with something like that, I probably would have been more on board with it because it would have fit within that style. But to have it up front like this is just like, what are we doing here? Like this isn't a Martin Scorsese film.
100%.
Well, I will say this. I think this is definitely, it feels like more apropos of a Children of the Corn movie than the last one because you actually have, you have the corn like
more
up
corn.
front.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's a lot more corn in
murders.
this
Yes,
last
and
year.
murders within the cornfields and stuff, like properly.
It's very strange because like they never say which state they're in, right?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't look like Nebraska, right? And there are certain points where you can see palm trees. Right?
And those kids are not from the Midwest or Central West.
No,
they're coastal. Okay, so how fucking far do they drive?
Eva Mendes has a tan. Like they just came from the beach.
I personally thought it for some reason. Okay, so you know how they call this place Divinity Falls, like this the town or whatever.
Yes, that's what it's called.
Yeah, so it's called Divinity Falls, and this is just me totally reading stuff into it, but that gave me the impression that it might be Oregon because there's a really cool animated series from last decade called Gravity Falls, and it's set in Oregon.
Right.
So
they got inspiration from this movie. Oh my god.
I mean, maybe I don't know. But
I like Search. I know what you are now. I like Search.
I mean, I would say Twin Peaks was a bigger influence on Gravity Falls, but I'm just like thinking, like, okay, I could not help but read Oregon somehow, like into this like location. But yeah, it's completely. There are no references to Nebraska or Gatlin, or whatever. So it's just like kind of okay. So they like arrive somewhere with a bunch of like bringing ashes or whatever of a guy who died under mysterious circumstances, I guess, right? Like it's never,
like boyfriend, yeah.
Yeah, and it's never clear exactly. Wait, well, where did they come from, or where were they going specifically with this thing? I don't remember.
Like were they gonna scatter his ashes at a beach? Because it seems like they should have probably beaches where they come from. They're coastal. They're very much coastal. They're very Californian uh, based or themed. So I don't know. I really don't know.
If I think that they were trying to scatter the ashes at the bar or something, but like then everything kicks into motion and they get sidetracked, right? So it's like all that stuff is just kind of a formality to get us to that point. Hey, like we get to the point where it's like they're there for this whole mission, and the guy just died, and the guy who died's girlfriend is going to sleep with somebody else on that trip, right? Like that's how little they care about this person who just passed away.
Hey man, Kier is just grieving. How dare you?
Hey,
grieve
Oh,
with
I
David.
have it. Oh,
I'm
I
fine
got
with
curd
that.
all over me. Yeah, you know, like when the ashes spill or something. Because
Dude,
Crazy.
we need a
That
prequel
was-
about Kurt. You know, I think that Children of Corn 3.5. You know, Kurt's story.
Let's just get in there quickly.
Yeah.
Well, like Eva Mendes is not very good in this movie, but like she's Eva Mendes, you know. Like you see her, you're just like like my eyes are glued to the screen. You know?
Yeah, she's there. You know, again, I'm not gonna disparage any performance in this because it's not like the script is amazing and they're doing a bad job performing the script. They're not good, and I'm gonna say because the story doesn't give them a lot to do. But anyway, so get that very artistic shot. All right, and then we move on to this other shot where this random kid is walking into the corn for some reason, comes across a green burning patch of corn somehow, and then that patch of corn blasts him with fucking Sith lightning, and then he becomes possessed by it for some reason. And then
this is our introduction to Ezekiel, right?
Yes.
Ginger Dewey, you know.
Yes, exactly. Big old
Ginger Dewey is very accurate.
It's very accurate.
Though I will say, I never got the impression that he was actually possessed. To me, it's more like, okay, he's like anointed. He's got like the power or whatever, you know.
But whatever. Something happens to him. Gets the devil eyes. Anyway, an indiscriminate amount of time passes because there's several plot points that mean that there has to have been a time skip between that and what happens next, or else nothing fucking makes sense.
Don't
Let's
they say
say-
like 1
Feels
year
like just such a
later?
jump. It feels like the next day.
Does it say 1 year later?
I could have sworn like the screen said
I
1 year later.
I remember something says 1 year later. Oh yeah, it does. It says 1 year later. My God, they did not signpost that enough, in my opinion. Should have a voiceover that says 1 year later.
But it just does feel like, you know, when like you're watching a cheap movie and it doesn't sell that jump, right?
Yes.
Like, that
He's wearing the same clothes. They're all wearing the same
yeah,
clothes.
exactly. Ezekiel is wearing this like horizontal striped shirt that's like every kid from the 90s, like in a commercial.
Gap
you see
catalog.
them wearing that, you know.
There
Gap
should have been a
catalog
scene.
clothing.
There should have been a scene where he like opens up a closet and you see that he has like a dozen identical
same shit.
outfits.
Yeah. Well, like it's kind of like the Steve Jobs principle, but for a cult leader. Actually, no, those two things aren't too dissimilar, right? Like they, you know, like how
Exactly.
they just wear the same thing over and over again. That creates its own cult of personality.
I
Exactly.
hadn't thought of that, but that is a very good explanation.
It's
I
narcissistic.
have to say.
I agree. So anyway, Ezekiel, who was our Isaac for this movie, leads like 5 teenagers into killing and harassing an old farming couple, and he lifts the farmer up from like his force powers and just
Amazing.
jiggles him in the for like 30 seconds straight. We're held aghast at the jiggling of this thing while it gets hit by a lightning bolt. It is just extended. We see all of it. Like, this is not impressive. They should have cut it away immediately after it got hit. But no, they're like, this is the money shot.
I do like that it just comes out of the gate swinging. Like I thought that the movie was going to be more bold like this, and I thought it was going to be more goofy like this. And like when this was happening, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. Like
Why no more pretensions, right?
yeah, exactly, right.
We're Children of Corn 5 here. Okay, what if we? You're for suspense. We tried that already. No one liked that one.
No one liked any of them. None of them are good. So it's like, why not just have some fun with it? And when they're, you got a guy like in the air, getting like killed. I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to be.
I
Anyway,
didn't get it though. Like, why did they kill the farming couple? Because I
because
guess
they're like Hitler and like Austria. They're like standing. Okay.
Again, White Ribbon, the perfect prequel to Children of the Corn.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, it's just that whole thing to me felt a little weirdly disconnected from everything else, other than the fact that like maybe that's the house that like the main characters come upon later, Like I was just kind of, I guess,
Doesn't
like maybe
matter.
I mean, I guess they killed them because they were on the land and they want to take over the land or whatever. But
Exactly.
anyway,
Colonialism.
Strangely similar to the first movie. Like I would say like this movie is actually very similar to the first one, like more than a lot of the other ones that we've seen.
Well, it is a reboot continuity wise, and
they're all reboots. Then after the second one, well, after the third one, right? We say that Micah was part of it all the time.
Yeah, it's more like, okay, how about you give us your take on what a Children of the Corn movie is? You got to have corn, you got to have children, and he who walks behind the rose. Go,
Mm-hmm. That's enough, and it does hit some of the bingo marks for sure. Like I was shocked with how many of like the things that you'd find in other Children of the Corn movies that are here, but it is through that more, I guess, traditional framework of just like, oh no, the teens are getting slashed.
No.
No. I think you're right. I mean, it does feel very much like what you would see in a '90s teen slasher movie, right? Like, especially like I guess after Scream, but like in a Children of the Corn type plot, right? Like, so this is Children of the Corn filtered through the post Scream teen slasher. I guess.
I mean, it's not even just post Scream as well, but post like Miramax.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like this is not even just like my first thought of this isn't like Scream. It's like Kevin Smith. It's Quentin Tarantino. It's early PTA. That's what this is trying to rip off of more than that, really. But Scream is definitely an influence. Like, okay, Scream can be funny and hip with it. So let's do it out Children of Corn, and we're just gonna have characters that are like cheap dime store, like we're talky and we're like hip and we're pop culturally referential, and we're the Scooby Gang. It's it's definitely I like this is this is something like, oh, this is trying too hard to be like fucking Boogie Nights or some shit, man.
I really agree with the Tarantino comparison specifically because obviously Fred Williamson was also in From Dusk Till Dawn, and then David Carradine would go on to be in Kill Bill, and there is a lot about this that feels like that whole like 90s dimension Miramax kind of thing. There's a lot of like weirdly like pervy stuff that happens in this movie too, and when it comes to like this whole like 90s slasher era kind of thing, it's matching the tone and vibe of those Scream movies, but it's not nearly as meta. Like, it's not inviting you to analyze the context and the structure that it's existing within. It's still playing it straight. A lot of these 90s horror movies after Scream became very self-referential and reflexive with the horror genre. This doesn't even attempt to broach that.
I mean, but to be fair, like, there's not like I would say you would have to be like a Children of the Corn super fan to probably do something like that. But like, how can you be a super fan of something that's like trying to make something like out of the first four of this series? Like, how do you even handle that? There's not a lot of meat to, like, unlike we mentioned with Scream, we always went back to, and you kind of hammered us in, Halloween. There's no Halloween for Children of the Corn. There's always like the last less worse one for this series. There's nothing. There's no big touchstone.
For some reason, right? Like if they decided that they were going to remake Children of the Corn again, right? Like, the only way that you could attempt to make this franchise work would be like if you gave it a boatload of money, a really good director, and like the great screenwriters, right? Like this is a really hard story to loop, and even then, it's like, was the original short story even like worth bringing to feature length like this, right? So it's like the only reason these movies exist at this point is to be, you're at Blockbuster and you're like, ah, shit, I got to get something tonight, and I got to watch something scary with my girlfriend or something, right? And you get tricked into watching this, right? Or maybe, right, like similar to the first Children of the Corn, it's like your first horror movie, and you're just like, whatever, this is the only one I can get.
Yeah, no, I mean, so let's just get this to the next episode. So after Ezekiel kills the old farming couple, we smash cut to like the most wannabe 90s, like this is the edge of cool, this is the MT generation looking couple of all fucking time. The guy's wearing these kind of like cool surfboard sunglasses and a straw cowboy hat, and his girlfriend is like got this short bob, she's wearing pitch black sunglasses, she got a choker on, and there's like they're in a convertible car full of sex dolls. And it's like, well, we're going to like just zoom in on this car. We're going to flip the camera. We're going to have like this really peppy music going on. It's like walking into another dimension, It really is. And
so these two are they're related to the other teens who are going to be going to spread the ashes, right?
yes, they're leading the way. Apparently, they know, or Laszlo is the guy with the cowboy hat, knows where they're going to spread the ashes, and so his thing is like, I guess this is his hallmark. This is his trading card, where he basically is leaving them a scavenger kind of thing, where he puts and tapes and ties sex dolls that point in the direction that he's going, and that's how the other teens are following. How many has he done? Given that this is like middle America and these kids are clearly from California, how many did he bring along with him, do you think?
Well, Elvis, like you got to understand, right? Like this is a different time,
Was he doing this on the highway?
No cell phones, or at least not in wide, like not as wide circulation, like cell phones were not like so widely disseminated at the time so as to ruin the possibility of a horror movie plot,
But like, was he doing this on the highway as well? Because what the fuck, man? Anyway,
like killing people because he's leaving sex dolls just like there, hitting into the windshields.
But yeah, they have like this wannabe like pop punky rock music going on. It's crazy. Anyway, they go head off, and then we're still in sideways mode for the other kids' characters. It's very Evil Dead-y. And there's like the whole gamut. Okay, they're the most slashery teens ever for a '90s film. You have like these kind of hipster kind of looking guy. You have this regular frat bro dude. You have the preppy kind of prima donna. And then you have a normal chick,
aka Velma.
Yes, this is very Scooby Doo focused. This is clearly it. And I don't know what it's inspired, because I think that that's one of the things that I would do immediately, would be to do a Scooby Doo fan casting in my own fucking movie if I ever got the chance. Like, this is a Scooby Doo movie, this role will fit, and we're also gonna have enough plot for a Scooby Doo episode. I think you could cut this down into like 30 minutes, 40 minutes long, and you could replace the score with like the old Scooby-Doo soundtrack score, and they'll like
add a laugh track.
Yes. That whole old school Hanna-Barbera soundscape. And I think you could get something out of this. Like 35 minutes worth. And I might try.
That'd be amazing. That's worth doing for like many movies. I feel like that's like you should make that a series, just taking shitty movies, paring them down to Scooby-Doo length, and making them Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah, I feel like it would work here the best. I really would. But anyway, so they're there to spread the ashes of their dead friend Kurt, who is in a big metal urn with them. Anyway, so Laszlo and his girlfriend, they get to the next stop, and I'm not sure how they're partitioning their the sex dolls, Because you got unless you brought like 1,000, you kind of have to budget them wisely, right? So how many? You see, I mean, sorry, the logistics of this are insane. It kept me up all night.
You're right.
Because like is he doing them every time he turns, so they know where he's turning, or like he's doing it like every quarter mile, so they know that he's still on the same path. Like, and we never get an answer for this, but there's another logistical problem that pops up immediately after. And I wonder if you guys caught this. All right, so he's talking to his girlfriend, and in mid conversation, the girlfriend disappears, and he's like, "Oh my god, did something happen to the girlfriend?" We did see like one of the children behind her looking at her, staring, spying on her. So what happened to the girlfriend? And so he like, what's going on? He trambles into the cornfield, right? And like, oh man, this is so creepy. Why when her girlfriend is probably missing, right? Then no, she fucking went to pick some corn. But like, how deep is she?
Stealing.
Yes, but how deep is she into the cornfield to get this corn?
Like, to her, right? And there's no civilization around her, right? Like it's like she's in an endless cornfield, and it's like what? Like
why is she that deep in now? Like why? There was corn right there.
Like what's wrong with the corn that's right beside you? Why'd you have to go deeper in there?
Exactly. And so it's really the place that moment
behind the rows, it's like he somehow like the fire. It's like somewhere. It's just like the corn. You just got to go deep into it, as deeply as possible.
Like the center is where you get the good stuff, right? Like when you go to the grocery store,
yes,
right?
And she's so far in
the front of the shelf, or do you go like grab the thing that's like a couple items behind it?
That's true, but like she's so far in that she can't even hear him when he's like saying her name. Like it's mind-boggling. It also kept me up all night.
As soon as they got out of the car, she just ran into the cornfield like as fast as she could.
Well, I know the best corn is 2 miles in. It's like what the fuck?
She saw the corn.
That's right. She saw the corn cob that she wanted, but it was like way out there. I gotta go there.
It mesmerized her. That's the thing. You're right.
Probably.
Anyway, she gets killed by the children. Let's talk about the children for a second, because these are and one of the most uniform things about this series so far is that the children are very kind of like very formal, very sort of like I don't know, Amish looking kind of freaks, very religious, very puritanical. And then when we see the children in this one, especially after they killed Laszlo's girlfriend, they're just kids. They're just 90s kids, baggy jeans, lots of flannel, lots of layers, a denim jacket.
The religious element feels so out of whack because of this, right? Like it just feels like if you showed this to Isaac or whoever in the first movie, they'd be like, "Kill these kids," like they're not meeting the quota. But in this movie, it's like,
one's wearing a polo shirt.
Yeah,
like what the fuck? Like this, I feel like again, I gotta say, probably a budgeting. They probably said, "Wear whatever you have at home." Okay, we don't have the budget to cost of you.
I mean, that's true, but I feel like they didn't have a mandate in this one to try to do the Amish aesthetic, to try to I mean, the idea is the premise is that like most of these kids are runaways, right? They're presumably people who have come here. And this is actually one of the things I like about this movie is that it gives you a far more grounded, far more believable cult. Like this is a place. This is like a commune. It's like on private land. And it gathers broken kids, like people who have run away from home, people who have been, like maybe abused or neglected by their parents. And they just, they just come there with whatever they've got, and they, and they surround, they surround like a some sort of cult leader that's kind of attractive to them for whatever reason.
I mean, you're right about that, but I feel like even then, with that, I think it would make more of an impact if we saw how the cult kind of strips away their identity, and by enforcing some sort of parochial, puritanical, very religiously mandated, outfit or something like that, which that's not also uncommon in real life either. It's just kind of odd and striking, and when we see them wearing regular fucking clothes, Tom Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren clothes, and then like one of them has like these kind of really kind of skatery twisted braid knots all over their head. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, these are just kids, and like, this is very far removed from Children of the Corn. It could just be just any kind of killer kid kind of thing. But I do like the contrast, because this is like it does make it feel different. It does make it feel unique.
One thing I want to speak to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, now that you mention it, I do think it would have been kind of a nice plot point if after like killing Laszlo and his girlfriend, they actually steal their clothes. So later on, like you actually see them wearing like those outfits or something. Do you know what I'm saying?
I can see that. That'd be fun. What were you saying, Tony?
The one thing that was brought up, the whole thing about like the runaways, right? This idea of like, oh, okay, so these will just be like normal kids who are kind of brought into the fold here a bit and are kind of being won over to He Who Walks Behind the Rose. That's what the third movie did, And I feel like in the third movie, at least like I think that it did some poor job in terms of like showing us how they were won over to the side, right? I feel like at least it showed like that it existed. I feel like this one doesn't put in the same kind of work that the third one did to make that work. But
no,
even then, the third one didn't make it to the finish line. You know what I mean?
I feel like they're both missing something essential. You're right. Because again, the fact that these are like regular kids rather than like these homegrown kind of country kids is an interesting plot point, and it could have led to some fun contrast with the fact that they have also these city teenagers. Like, it could have been like, again, like first Scooby-Doo movie, where you have like a Scooby gang and they go to like the town and everyone's been possessed and made into like these clean cut collar 50s beach teens, and they're just like the 90s Scooby gang from James Gunn, and that's a fun kind of thing. And this one could have done something like that, and it kind of misses the opportunity to do so. Anyway, Kurt's ashes get destroyed, and then that's the end of that plot.
It is funny though, I think, right? Like, because the way they get destroyed, and it's like they're, oh my god, Kurt is all over me or something. I don't know. I just thought that was like a funny bit, right? It happens when the car crashes in the ditch, right?
Yes, and then they just kind of just fling the urn into the cornfield because fuck it. I would have used that. Waste not, want not. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, so we get put into a totally different plot at this point that doesn't really come into fruition for another like 20 minutes, because you think that's meant to be like the main hook and the main gimmick. But anyway, so the teens get accosted by little Children of the Corn kids who kind of tough talk them and browbeat them, and these woke, California teenagers get totally owned by these real American Children of the Corn, salt of the earth. So they don't go to these liberal elite coastal universities like these kids do.
Things are different around here.
Exactly.
You're not accustomed to speed.
Real American kind of problems. Okay, the issues that real Americans fucking deal with, like corn.
And dirt.
Anyway, they get owned, and the Shaggy and Fred have to like walk with their tails between their legs. But even Mendez, kind of, has eyes on the giant Children of the Corn, and who knows how old he is? He's a child of the corn. That ambiguous terminology there. Even Mendez is put on watch now. Okay.
Come on, get your act together.
Exactly. They grow them out big in the South, Ian Mendez, but age is still an age. Okay, the number is not just a number. Okay. Anyway, they go head to town, and I think I agree with Mikhail. Okay, in that I do like that it's more of a functional cult. It's not like let's kill all the adults 100% kind of plot. It's like we're going to basically use the cult, and we're going to immerse ourselves in the power structure here, grow from within. We're gonna do this on a slow burn scale, because it is just like this weird foster kid commune that the town this is kind of dealing with. You know, like this is an annoyance, this is weird, but this is part of the fabric of our town at this point. And so they go into a functional town, and you know it's nice. It's good contrast. It's kind of like it's kind of like Friday the 13th 6, where there's like a functional Camp Crystal Lake in that movie. It's like, okay, this is nice. We're seeing something different. Kane Hodder is in it, as the bartender.
Quite literally, yeah.
So
that was Kane Hodder, really?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, I have to say I kind of like I kind of like the way that they build out the little town. I don't know if it's because of the casting, or because of the people they put into those roles, but yeah, man, I kind of thought like the bartenders seemed perfectly. There's a sense that like if I were like one of the people there, I would also kind of hate these kids hate these teens that came in there, because they're kind of assholes. You know what I'm saying? And everybody here is naturally not very, like, they're not very friendly, because, well, would you really want to be friendly with these obnoxious people? You know what I'm saying?
These obnoxious Gen X pricks.
Yeah, exactly.
These kids.
They're probably going to NYU.
I love
what I mean.
Yeah, but hey, come on, I went to NYU. That's like. But
I knew it.
I love that, but also I love that moment when the sheriff kind of like meets with them, and he's like, they're like, "Hey, are there any buses out of here?" "Yeah, one at 8 a.m., one at 8 p.m. If you run now, you might just catch it," and drives off. Like doesn't offer a lift or anything, but like I like how I don't know, maybe it's just the casting, but I think Fred Williamson is really nice in this movie for all of the screen time that he has.
He's the best performance in this movie, I think.
He works perfectly as a sheriff. And again, very Scooby-Doo for like, the sheriff be like, what are these meddling kids doing in our fucking town?
Exactly.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. I could do it. I see the vision ahead of me. Just taking this fucking movie and just replacing all the soundtrack with those Hanna-Barbera soundscapes. I could do it. It's possible.
The question is actually if you should.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you could use AI to put like a dog, like an animated dog in there.
I'll just have dog sounds. Just randomly pop up every once in a while, like a Greek chorus. Ruh-roh. Anyway, so the sheriff's like, get the fuck out of town. Get the next bus out of here. And this script must have been very easy to write. Just do nothing original. Just do nothing original.
This was a situation where it was like, okay, so we got money to make a Children of the Corn movie, and they're like, what's it gotta be? It's gotta be a horror movie. And then they're like, go. And then he just clickety-clacked at the typewriter, and that's what happened. And like, He Who Walks Behind the Row is like the only thing that has any kind of like narrative connection to any of the other Children of the Corn movies. And
like the entire plot almost didn't happen, because they actually were gonna take the next bus out of town, but then it rides all about them. So if they had been like 4 minutes quicker, they would have left. Then this entire movie would never have happened.
I love it when a movie is like, oh, you can leave whenever you want, especially in your horror movie.
And they were going to. Like, there's not even like any sense of like, mystery that these kids were like, we're really going to leave. Then that's our protagonists, friends. Anyway, the fact they're like, we're gonna leave using our car, and then the children of the corn have burnt the car. It kind of makes the whole bus thing worthless. Why even bring up the bus? They could just gone back to the car and seen it destroyed.
Well, no, I mean, he said the only reason they went back to the car is because like they now thought, okay, maybe we can sleep in the car until like morning because we missed the bus. Remember, because the car is like non-operational, but like they have stuff in there. I think he mentioned he had sleeping bags or whatever.
In a blanket. He had a blanket, yeah.
Yeah. And also, it's interesting how the first mention of He Who Walks Behind the Rose it was in that bar. I think because like now apparently, so there's kind of like a local, like the locals tolerate this place. They kind of sort of know about it a little bit, right? And it turns out, wait a minute, the girl knows more about He Who Walks Behind the Rose than they do.
Yes, because spoiler alert, her brother left a runaway note, saying, or like was talking about, he walked down the road before he left, which makes me wonder, how big is Ezekiel's reach? Is he like, sending
Yeah.
out pamphlets? Does he have Hare Krishna people like in airports and bus terminals? What the fuck?
Yeah, like geographically, it's not clear. I was wondering, wait a minute, so is she
Does he have
like
a
from
radio
around
show?
here? Yeah,
Well,
yeah, or is she from around here? Is she like a native or something?
Well, again, we don't have a state. We don't know where in the world they are.
This is
you know?
clearly downtown California. Okay, it's near the border. That's why there's so much corn. Spanish people love maize, as they say in Central America. Maize.
Why don't we have a Mexican Children of the Corn? Why
Yes.
wouldn't that be an option?
You know what? Let's get the studio on the line. I'll write it. Okay.
You know what? We were wondering how to fix this franchise. I think we just figured it out.
Yes, because the religious angle will be so good. Because
Lee Cronin's Children of the Corn.
There you go.
But no, it actually would work. Okay, actually would work, because one of the funniest things about Central America, and I can say this as a person from South America, that's my gimmick here.
Humble brag.
Yeah, exactly. Is that when the fucking missionaries and shit came over here to convert everyone to Christianity, they basically threw up their hands and said, yes, the pagan shit you're doing, that's Christianity too, just to get them to do it. So that could be like an interesting plot hook, That's why, that's the reason why it's so religious, but then they do all this crazy corn shit,
They incorporate some accidental he who walks behind the rowing.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, like maybe Day of the Dead stuff or something. I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking that could be somehow connected to the whole thing.
That's just racist, Mikhail. How dare you?
It's not too far.
That's too far, man. How dare you? No, just kidding.
Okay, sorry.
But anyway, so the kids decide to fucking break into an abandoned house, which is the house of the farmer couple that was killed. And so it's very leprechaun-y here at this point, where they're staying in a abandoned farmhouse, and there's like a bunch of old food everywhere, and spam, which they call smeat, which is very funny. And I need that on a t-shirt. I need a smeat t-shirt at this point. It's and Shaggy is like,
my God. You know what? I did not entirely get the joke there. Like but I'm like, oh my God, of course. Like they could not include the actual brand, right? Because then like that would cost them money. So they created their own and it's such a, oh look, Smeat. I mean, okay, so that is definitely to me like a Tarantino-esque meta scene. You know what I mean? Like you have to create like your own fictional brand and like you advertise it, in a very blatant way.
It's very Wayne's Worldy, like, oh, get it? Like we're making the reference to this thing and being funny about it. And I guess it's funny.
I think it's like supposed to mimic just like casual conversation amongst friends, right? Like things that are like half funny, you kind of all chuckle.
Yeah, like Ross, Chandler, Joey, Monica. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's very friends-like.
Well, like I even just mean like in a casual, like hanging out with your friends way, but like I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, no,
it's at the same time, it's like these things should be funnier, Like
look,
these should be bigger moments.
I applaud that it's trying to go for the humorous route. It's just not that funny, but I like that it's trying to be funny. It's a very confusing movie for me in that regard. I want to give it more props than I am. Like it's bold. It's a bold reinvention. Anyway, these kids get fucking wasted because they just drinking all this old fucking beer they found. And let's see here. I'm just skipping through this. Anyway, Allison the Velma decides to reveal that Kurt committed suicide, which never comes up again.
Oh well, like it could have been something that we could have mined for dramatic tension, but it's like, oh, I guess
no, wait a minute. But I thought that was kind of a thing for Eva Mendes, like Kier or whatever. I just want to call her Daphne. So
yeah, I guess at the end, yeah, but like.
Well, because if Kurt like killed himself, I felt like, oh, okay, that's kind of and she literally says like I can be like with Kurt at the like when she basically buys maybe way too fast like into the whole mantra of the thing.
Well, will he be with her after she ghost cucked him? with his friend.
Right? Well, I saw that shit,
Yeah.
just because I wasn't here.
Yeah, we were both in hell, and I was seeing it.
Yeah, think about how bad it is to be in hell, and then to look up, and then to see that shit.
Yeah, exactly. My God.
Well, they both killed themselves, so they're going to hell, right? So
Yes,
you know.
Right, exactly.
yes, and we endorse that at this podcast.
Yes,
know,
we
that
are
you-
an anti-suicide podcast. I want to go on
Don't!
the record saying
yeah,
that.
a very religious one too, apparently.
Yes.
Anyway, so let's see here. So even this, has sex with guy. I know the other guy.
Tyrus?
Tyrus. I remember that was his name. Like, what the fuck is it? Why is his name Tyrus? Why is his name Tyrus?
I didn't get most of their names except for like Allison. Everybody else, I just want
No,
to call them by their
the
Scooby Gang name.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
Allison, Greg, Kier, and Tyrus. Why the fuck is his name Tyrus? But no, I feel like Kier is an easy one for me to remember because it sounds like Kurt. I feel like that's how that's also why they named her that, so they could memorize what her relationship to the characters is. Oh, that's Kurt's girlfriend, Kier.
2 A names.
Exactly. So anyway, she has sex with Tyrus and Shaggy. What I even said that by accident. Greg.
No, you're right.
Greg goes out to try to have a heart-to-heart with Allison about her brother who ran away, and she thinks that he's in the state of Springfield.
I gotta say, like right now, because like this is when we're gonna start taking the dip into Allison world, and I have to say the major issue with this movie is that Allison should not be in this movie as much as she is. Like she is an energy drain anytime we are like along with her journey, and whether it be from the way they wrote her or the way that she's performing it, I don't know what it is specifically, but just everything about this is poison to me. Like this is
She's
one of the
too
movies
normal.
at its worst. Yeah,
She is too normal. Like she's like everyone else is like this big caricature, and she is just there.
bland.
Like they're kind of
bland,
bigger,
bland.
broader, like more, kind of larger than life, right? Like I get it, it's again like one of those, I think, sort of, tonal gaps, like when you have people who are written on a like a character is written like on a different wavelength, right, than a lot of the other elements surrounding it.
Like she's not meant to be
movie.
funny. But we're meant to
Yeah.
find all the other characters funny. And it's like
And that's an issue because like especially because like this movie wants to be goofy, it spends a long time trying to like ask you to take it seriously. And
yes.
she's the vector that has to be the vector for that, and it actually makes it does her no favors, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because much like Velma and really bad episodes and series of Scooby-Doo, it basically just makes it like a chore, like homework to stick with her. But I would rather be like, you know what? Even Mendes' character kind of stinks, but at least I'm not tired watching her shit. I would know, and she dips out of me immediately. She's like the first one to go. Anyway, so the children of corn, are peeping toms who see, Kier and Tyrus. I have to force myself to see these fucking names. To having sex, and so Greg and Allison decide to go out and investigate for clues.
The most confident.
And then they find the bodies of their friends Laszlo and Charlotte, and they and they immediately contact the cops, and the cops are like, "You meddling kids, get the fuck out of this town."
Wait a minute, but see, that's like where I think one of my favorite moments happens, right? Like when they're like, "Hey, sir, take a look at this. I think it's a foot." Oh yeah, that's like oh, look at those all those toes or something.
Like that toe kind of matches that other one.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, like that's where I feel the comedic part of this movie really.
But he's very deadpan. He's very good deadpan, rather than just bland. He's like he knows the tone of like taking it just seriously enough.
Yes, exactly. It's like perfectly calibrated to that, I think.
I mean, campy, like Tony was saying, very campy. Meanwhile, we're back to the fucking boring twins. That's because we only had Fred Williamson for like 1 day, so we gotta keep the scene short. He's gone immediately. Anyway, so they decide to go against the sheriff's orders. They go out to investigate again. Jesus
Of
Christ, man.
course, Scooby Doo again.
Exactly. Like we're gonna have all four of these here. Anyway, they meet into Ezekiel again, and who leads them to the fucking mansion where the commune lives. And they're
Hey
all
guys, well, this is MTV Cribs. Welcome to my crib.
and all of them are wearing like Oshkosh Bagosh clothing and fucking shit.
No
That-
overalls, though, surprisingly.
and again, like it would be more it would be more scary if they were like wearing muted clothing, like uniformly muted, to show like the loss of individuality here. And Tyrus is like, "I love you, Kier. I've always loved you." And Kier is like, "Well, I just needed to have sex to let off some steam."
Hey,
But you know,
sorry.
Valid.
which you know what, you know, good
me.
for her.
No, but
Good for her.
Actually, okay, see, I think that scene though was kind of awesome. I don't know what about it. Just it is hilarious to me on the one hand, but on the other, I feel like it's kind of trying to again go for that post Scream subversiveness insofar as that like you know what I'm saying. Normally, it's you would have like the jockey guy, the jockey male lead be the one who's like, oh no, listen, this was nothing. Right. So here they're kind of flipping that around, and it's actually kind of funny. Like, and I think I don't know if they're playing it as funny, but I think it's meant to be funny.
No, it's definitely meant to be funny because she gives like the whole Jim Halper like at the fucking camera. She like says this like, "Whoa," you know. And
it's also like narratively setting us up for where her character is going later, right?
Yes.
So I do agree with you that like it is a nice subversion of the typical trope, but I don't think that it can necessarily pull that subversion off if what she ends up doing later ends up happening, which it does.
Yeah, no, I feel like it works. It works in the moment. All right, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
And again, it's nice. It's in the moment. It's good because why have that kind of locked down? She wants to have sex. It's fine. She had to have it. As Spike Lee said.
Yeah, you're right. In the context of that film, that's true.
She had to have it, Anyway, I do like how they, and we gotta stop getting franchises like this. But I do like that when Allison meets David Carradine, who is the Papa Smurf figure of
oh no
of this cult of teenage runaways and foster kids. Yeah, I love how he kind of gets it out of the way. Like, yeah, people think I'm a fucking pedophile, but I'm not.
I am no molester. It's like one of his first words.
Yeah, like I know how this looks, but I'm not. Okay,
He's doing the Danny DeVito, like, oh, I'm not diddling kids,
Exactly. Which I'm great. You know what? Let's all hands on all cards on the table. I'm not, but I am a fucking religious nut. This is actually a cult, and I'm a prophet of a demon. And okay, but it's not. Is that better? It actually has. It kind of is, I guess.
You're still manipulating and grooming all that stuff, right? And also it doesn't help that like David Carradine is asleep in this role. Like he is like reclined as much as he can be in that chair. Like
his voice is doing the work.
Dark. Yeah, exactly. His voice, right? His trademark lisp.
Yeah, I would say that they probably had him for like maybe like a day of filming at most, just given the fact that his only two scenes are in that room, right?
Yep.
But
maybe they only had him for a couple hours.
Yeah, maybe. But I will
probably a body cast for that effect.
Yeah, sure. But even if he is phoning it in, I would say he still like has this presence, right? Like he's the kind of guy you cast for a role like this. I mean, I really love every second that he's on screen, all the way up to. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like his voice is doing the work because, like he has just a natural kind of charismatic personality. He's just that
charisma.
Nothing else is coming across there, so it's really not a very imposing character or performance. Again, the character itself is not written with a lot going on at all. Yeah. Anyway, he's like saying, I welcome all the unloved and lost children. Very Peter Pan-y. And he like, let's see here. We'll see you. You'll see your brother. And anyway, the rest of the Scooby Gang are wandering around the farmhouse, and and so they're searching and looking for the next fucking set piece. And it
Goes it really happens in this movie, right?
No.
Because like
nothing.
No,
this is a
but like
situation
there,
where
but
like so go ahead.
but there is like some actual setup here. I mean, she gets to go off, talk to her brother while, like each of them sort of gets to explore a little bit, so there's like, so you get some more insight into the creepiness of the place. Like, Daphne meets up with that guy who starts to basically sell the Kool-Aid to her. And I thought that was actually like a very like I kind of like that scene because like it's a good sales pitch, like that that happens, like it's very compact, and a lot of that stuff I think it comes back later, it plays into things.
And that's really the best part because again, none of their exploring and investigating means anything. So I feel like you could have just had them cut to just Eva Mendes getting talked to by the hunky, tall farmhand who was clearly a lot older than the other fucking kids by a wide margin. That should probably be one of the teens.
He's lying about his age. He's actually like 23, you know.
But thankfully, that's not important to David Carradine's character, as he so gratefully, reminded us age being young is not it was not a requirement here. Okay, how dare you
We can
insinuate
only
that?
work with what labor laws we have.
Exactly. Anyway, so she is like, oh, whoa, man, I probably think about this, and he's like, I got her. Anyway, so
Just before we move on from this too quick, right? And this is something that will probably persist as we continue. I really do not buy Eva Mendes's like purchasing of this ideology.
No,
I don't buy the transition.
It happens so fucking quick.
It makes no sense to me. So like the introduction of it here, it comes by so quickly to when she does make that transition later on, it's like, oh, I was supposed to think this was a serious consideration for her.
It's not, you know what, it's one of those things where I see how it works in the like I see the schematic of it. I see how it works like in the like how it works on the story level, but they don't devote nearly enough time to sell that. So I kind of like, so for me, like, it's kind of like it works on one level, but the execution of it is just not there.
No, I completely agree. You're totally right about that. And so she meets her brother, and okay, this is why I miss, because his brother's ramble is so fucking boring. Like, oh, I was abused as a kid by my father or stepfather, and so I ran away.
It's all good now because I got a bride.
Yes, I got a bride. David Carradine chose a bride for me. We're of nebulous age, okay? They could be. They gotta get rid of this fucking title, okay? Because they're not children of the corn, and I want to be talking about them breeding. Because like, oh, my wife is pregnant. How old are you, kid?
Like it's weird that it just keeps on coming up. I don't want to keep on talking about this.
No, but wait a minute. But they talk. Okay. But here's the thing, though. They kind of address this thing head on here. She's like, "Why are there only children here?" He's like, and wait a minute. You're turning 18 like tomorrow. He's like, yeah, that's when they're gonna send me out to meet my maker. I mean, they talk about it. They talk. She brings up directly the fact that like, well, wait a minute, you're having a child. The kid's here. Wait, but you're 18 tomorrow. So it's like they're not avoiding it here.
Right, but it's really awkward, and I don't like it.
It's not the problem that they're not avoiding it. The problem is that it keeps on happening. I don't want to keep on watching these movies where this consistently is a plot point. Like it's just weird.
Like, we already got rid. We've had enough of the Scream franchise, man.
Yeah, exactly.
These poor kids. But anyway, he's like, we've had sex in this anyway, and let's see here. After your 18th birthday, become an adult, and we meet our maker, etc. Anyway, so she tried her her brother has drunken the Kool-Aid, and she's like trying to get through to him. But he's like, "You gotta leave now," and he
but
gives
he's
her.
also but I like how he is clearly like, he's clearly not believing in his own bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like when she's talking about him, it's like you can tell like, oh yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I be, sure. I mean, I don't know. I thought that aspect of it was really well done. The trick here is that they have to convey a lot in a very short amount of time.
It's not a lot they have to convey. I don't think they're doing it well.
Well, yeah, but look, I mean, it's like a whole history there, is what I'm saying. Their whole history. His parent, like his whole time there, and the fact that he's kind of approached, like he's clearly terrified, right? Like he kind of has to be careful at what he says because, like, the overseer is like right outside the door. So he has to sound convincing to her, but you can tell it's like he doesn't it's like he maybe only half believes like what he's selling her, which to me is already quite interesting. There's a kind of I can kind of see like an alternate version of this movie where they
Yes,
just
I totally agree with an alternate version of this being good. I mentioned that this was just a little bit better. It'd be really good, but I feel like you're picking up things that are there, but you're doing a lot more of the legwork than this movie is doing, which is very common. I think that we all want these movies to be much better than they are.
Yeah, that's true. But what I mean is that I kind of think the angle that they're approaching this character from, and this is his first appearance, it just makes him immediately more interesting. Like he's a guy who has been a member of this cult, presumably for, I don't know, a few years or something.
A year. This all has to be within a year because there's that time label that said 1 year later.
Okay, but again, like
the first movie, right? With those like other kids who were drawing those pictures and stuff, right? Like they were in a similar position where like they were a part of it, but mainly because they were the people who were in charge, right? I do see where you're coming from in the sense that like you got a man on the inside who's questioning their faith, right? And I think that it works here because he's at least like older and he's about to turn 18. So, like there's a sense of logic to him that he's trying to figure this stuff out, a sense of maturity because he's not a 10-year-old, But that being said, I just, I have issues with, this storyline in general and these characters and how they're being performed. I just don't think that it works as well just in general, like as it's on the paper. It's just not there. And I think that if they maybe were to lean into the comedic element a bit more and they spent less time on this stuff, then it might have worked more in my favor, like of me enjoying it,
Taking a lane a little bit more.
Yeah. Not to diminish what you appreciate about it though, because I do like that you like this,
And I agree that what you're seeing is there. I just feel like it's the difference between execution and just the kind of the validity of what it's trying to portray. Because the brother's character is, if he were more of a character, if he became like the second POV after his scene,
yes, exactly,
that would be a lot more interesting. But then no, it's been more fucking time with these fucking kids. I mean teens. I don't care. I don't care about them. I don't care that Shaggy has a crush on Velma. Nothing fucking goes there. I don't care about Fred. Fred he's not looking like a dickhead because like, oh man, like she don't want to have sex with me anymore. She doesn't love me. I'm gonna act like a prick, And so it just doesn't matter. Get rid of all this stuff and show us more of the brother then. Like I had no idea. I'd forgotten because it was so underdeveloped that he had like a pregnant wife, because I was like, who the fuck is this pregnant chick with the little baby at the end of the movie? Like I did not make the connection that was her brother's wife until like I talked to Mikhail about it before we began recording. It felt like so disparate from this. And it's because a lot of things are underdeveloped. Like it's
I agree with that. I'm just like, for me, this is a very interesting element, and one wishes that was the focus of the movie. Like if you did like a whole movie about this guy coming into the cult, buying into it, but then sort of, having doubts and wanting to leave, especially, that would have made like for a better movie.
Oh, without a doubt, for sure. And I think that like a more talented filmmaker could have done this. And I feel as though this filmmaker in particular is having major tonal struggles, you know? Like we're at this point, you know, in the film, we're pretty much more than halfway through the movie at this point, right?
Yes.
And I still feel like we're in the first act. Like it doesn't
There-
really have like the we're
There's
now
30
entering
minutes
the third
left.
act. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have that kind of we're wrapping up feel to it still. It feels like we're just getting things going still.
Yeah, the main hook has just presented itself. We didn't even fucking know about the whole brother thing until halfway through the fucking movie. You know, that should have been the whole plot hook. Is just like Until Dawn, right? The Until Dawn movie
Right.
was like, oh, we're going after a missing sibling. What the fuck was the whole, my dead friend thing about? Like that. What was the whole point of like other than getting characters killed off immediately, the two like very cool, very hip friends that had the sex doll stuff. What was the point of the sex doll stuff? Were they going like?
Because
Were
it
they
was
going
hot. It was kinky.
like? This movie is so over the place. It's insane. Anyway, so the let's see here, the he turns out that her brother wrote an SOS message in the Bible, and she reads it, and she's like, "I gotta send my brother." And then
Hold on, before we move on from that moment to like he writes the note in there. So before that moment, even too, like Ezekiel bursts into the room, and I just love the fact that like a 10-year-old boy just opens the door, is like, "All right, time's up," like a prisoner warden.
yeah.
Like there's just something really funny about that. And then like the fact that he watches him write the note in the book and hand it to her, and never at any point checks, like just lets that happen. Like I was kind of surprised by that.
Well, he wrote it so cleverly because it was an
Exactly.
acrostic. Where he wrote the entire thing is from the first letter of the sentences. So anyway, sure, Free Williamson comes back around saying, "Get the fuck out of the town."
And then that's it.
Yeah, it turns out that the other teens who missed the other bus intentionally this time because they're going to go back to help Velma. Except for Kier, who was like, I came back for other reasons. See you guys later. Not suspiciously at all. Even though she was like, you know what? Being part of a cult is pretty cool sounding. And that gives no one any fucking pause.
Yeah, like doesn't this like make sense to you guys actually? Like she does one of those and I'm like, wait, hold on.
Maybe
like in that scene I'm like, you actually believe this shit? Like
maybe children should be taken away from their parents before they get tainted by other adults,
No, look, I'm not responsible for any of my actions. It's like the way that she's phrasing it, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
the idea that like, oh, don't like you're corrupted when you get to that age, and it's the outside world that corrupts the mind is what she's glomming onto, and it's just so silly. It feels like a child's understanding of this whole thing, which I guess is fitting.
You're absolutely right about that, but I think part of the idea here is that Lost Boys kind of thing, this notion that like you should never really grow up. You're only good. You're only like everything is really worthwhile as long as you're a kid. And when you reach that age,
That's
when
true.
you become a cynic and whatever, that's like when you're compromised, right?
I think you're right that the movie is doing that. You're right. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, but I think like it's absolutely true. It's a completely, it's a completely childlike thing. But that's that. I think that's like the point. Like it's and is it convincing that she comes to believe that after like one scene? Maybe not, but again, I can kind of see this like working in the abstract because she is like already like a messed up, like person, right? Like so for her, like this is a perfect, this is kind of an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like she's already maybe having like suicidal thoughts or whatever, or self-destructive ones at least, and suddenly it's like well, wait a second, there's this like ideology here that kind of seems to make sense of the world or whatever.
Yes, no, 100%. But I feel like even though someone might have said like idiom and stuff might have been a little bit more weaker, I do like the closed circle nature of it, and I feel like it's something that would have been also a very interesting thing to capitalize off of. This whole sort of like, youth in rebellion kind of thing. Like there are like, again, if you're gonna focus this hard on how 90s and hip and cool this shit is, you could be ultra cynical and bitter about it. You could have taken this like, not it's not uncommon to say that like 90s teens and young adults are a bit of a lost generation. A lot of fucking movies from that time period said the same thing. So why not play into it a little bit
Oh.
more? Play that into a little bit more.
Right.
To make that whole contrast, like, oh, now they found something with purpose. As you grow older, you go more conservative, that kind of thing. Where like, maybe they're just sort of, adrift. They're looking for something and more meaning. It's very Fight Clubby, is what I'm trying to say. And that would have worked.
I think it's interesting that this is the thing that we're probably the most interested by, because this is the part in the movie where it's like the most potential is there. But I think that we all agree that like it just doesn't cross that finish line just absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And there's this element to it, right, where it's like it should kind of be like Orpheus and Eurydice, right? Transferring into the spirit realm to try to like get somebody back, right? That's probably why this movie should have had her as the protagonist, right? and has that be like the central through line with this plot, honestly. But instead it's done in just like a toss aside way, and when she's going through all these motions, it almost just makes her look dumb. And I think it's really
exactly. It feels less like finding a purpose in life and her being very just naive and susceptible. There's something that you can make a really kind of interesting, like critical point about society with, and then just like, oh, she's like a dumb airhead who got suckered by a cult. It's like, the one is really interesting. The other is like, well, this is pretty standard affair.
Well, like Orpheus and Eurydice, right? Like going into the underworld to save your lover, to bring them back to the world of the living, right? That classic myth. And like the problem is that like we don't even really get the impression that she like is so like heartbroken over the passing of her boyfriend. To the like obviously she does hook up, and it's
oh
nothing.
my god.
But at the same time, like all of her, like, oh no, my boyfriend's dead, crying that she does at the beginning of the movie. Like she's young, like she's probably going to get over it, like it's this time. It didn't really feel like I believe that she was so,
I just realized
by her passing. Sorry.
I just realized we're describing a better version of Midsummer.
Well, I wouldn't even say better,
I would say better. Midsummer sucks. Midsummer sucks.
I like Midsommar. I was also actually it's funny though. I was also thinking that, like, Midsommar is kind of sort of a Children of the Corn.
It kind of is. It kind of is. I agree. I'm gonna tweet that out right now.
The best Children of the Corn movie.
Midsummer is one of the mediocre Children of the Corn movies. I got it.
I
don't like Midsummer.
I'm just saying the idea. I mean, it's also folk horror. It's just also like getting into that idea of people traveling, into ending up like in an environment with like pagan sacrifices and all that stuff. Like I
a
just
culture
kind of feel,
not their own.
Yes, exactly. And personally, I really like Midsommar. I mean, I appreciate if even just its runtime for one thing, because I think there aren't enough horror movies that are over 2 hours. Like I like epic length. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But I definitely got the sense that, like, man, I would like a Midsommar-esque Children of the Corn, which is why, I was saying, like, previously, wouldn't it be cool if they did a sequel to Urban Harvest, right? Like, so you end up in Germany with, like,
yes.
Techno, kind of like techno nihilist.
Krautrock. Yeah, just like, like you get really mathematical musical arrangements.
Oh my god. Fucking Children of Corn 5, man. Anyway, Amanda's fucking killed herself, growing herself into a giant grain silo.
Hold on. Okay, so this sequence, right? Like she's wearing the shortest sundress ever, right? And she's just like, I'm gonna climb this like ladder, and this scene is just like a minute long of her climbing this ladder as people just look up her skirt as she climbs up this ladder. It's insane. This is an insane scene to put in your movie, and to have it go on as long as it does, it's like it feels purposefully leering, and it's gross.
There is
Male
a
gaze.
lot of fucking panty shots in this fucking scene. You're right.
Yep, 100%. And then like to add insult to injury, right? Like, so Eva Mendes does this, right? Where she's like essentially debased on camera doing this moment. She's debased even further, being like, leaps into the silo, like it's the most pathetic, like, oh my God, this is the way somebody will take
and
it
it's
out.
great because she looks down and the burning bush thing is kind of going, is like right below the silo, like all the way near the bottom. It's completely out of place, right? And the moment she drops down and does that little yelp, like you said, immediately the flames go up. So it's like she's very rinky-dink kind of death. It's really funny.
But
the one thing, go ahead.
No, it reminded me of I don't know, some of those cartoons from the 90s where, like they're trying to sacrifice somebody to a volcano, especially like a princess or whatever. Anybody remember that? It's like, you have to throw like a maiden into a volcano.
Like Joe versus the volcano.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't seen that actually.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. Yes.
But yes, it does feel like that. Very sacrificial, very, very tribal,
The last thing I wanted to compare this to, right, is actually 1985's House, right? Because 1985's House is a movie about a guy who has a kid with his wife, right? And then the kid goes missing and the relationship goes it goes off, right? And in order for everything to get sorted out, he has to go to the spirit world to save his kid, right? And there's even a sequence where he like climbs into his mirror with a rope, and then like a winged demon shoots the rope and he falls into the spirit world. Like there's a lot of repeating imagery from that film in this one now.
I can see it.
I am becoming more and more interested in seeing House now.
Yeah, I think an interesting film.
I think I'll give it that. I always thought it'd be a lot better than it ends up being. I enjoy it, but it's like it's very yacht rocky kind of a movie.
That is accurate. It feels like, because like Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi in that period, they had like those kind of goofy horror movies, right?
Yeah, this
was like almost like the studio version of that.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree with that. It's a little more corporate. Anyway, so we have fucking 25 minutes left of this movie. So basically, and basically, okay, so we're gonna get to a mad rush because Eva Mendes is dead. There's no fucking any more reason to watch this anymore, and so they're going to fucking kill Allison's brother because he's betrayed the Corn by being weak, and they're gonna string it up like a scarecrow. And Ezekiel is giving the most of a little speech there, and he anyway. Jacob Elordi, farm guy, is going to kill Allison's brother, but then he gets a drop on him. Right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like he knocks him out. I think because the guy hesitates for the briefest of moments to like slash his throat, right? Like, and then he kind of, yeah. Like,
I could have banged Eva Mendes.
Oh, you think that's what he was kind of sad about?
I would have been sad too. Like, just maybe like one. You could have told it. You could have snuck it in there in the timetable. She could kill herself anytime.
Before she climbed up, you're saying? Just like a quick, one for the road?
She would have done it, I think. The character Kier.
Oh, my God.
Whatever.
She was in despair, like she, yeah.
She was up for anything.
She was clearly giving him signals, that's all I'm saying. Okay, he could have snuck one in there.
I'm personally just thinking that he had second thoughts about just like gutting Jacob. Like, I mean, I feel this might be again just me reading too much into it, but in my mind, it seems that there are all these interpersonal relationships that are kind of hinted at a little bit, but are never really explored, and maybe they meant to explore and maybe not. Like in my mind, Ezekiel was really pissed off because I think like he kind of like I don't know, maybe he valued Jacob's loyalty or whatever. So for him, this was a really big betrayal, which is why he wanted him,
Made an
like
example
not
of.
a, yeah, exactly. And maybe that guy just like kind of hesitated because he likes Jacob, but has to kill him because that's like what the orders are. But I will say, just in general, in my mind, the moment this sequence begins, it's like this film really moves. Like for the next like 10-15 minutes, it really feels like we're, like stuff is just like happening like
To be
really
fair,
fast.
there's like I mentioned 25 minutes left of this film. There's nothing has happened so far, so a lot of things have to happen. We have like 5 characters still alive. That's too much. so, so, so a bunch of stuff has to happen by necessity. And so I love this is that apparently off screen, the other teens went straight to the sheriff's like, hey man, all this crazy shit is happening. Our friend's dead, and so the sheriff immediately comes with the cavalry, and Ezekiel's like, "Where's your warrant?" And Fred Williams is like, "Right here." And he actually does have a warrant. They went through the entire process, So I love that off screen, the entire like half an episode of Law and Order happened because they had to get to it.
They're on the phone with the judge.
Exactly.
Like in between.
A teen is dead here, man. Sign this immediately so we can,
arrest another teen.
We can go Waco on this Children of the Corn commune.
Yeah, and they have like they have some sort of secret fire there that they're burning people with, and like let's get the fire department on it.
They have a fire truck with them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's funny though, right? Like, I mean, the cavalry kind of arrives, but it's a very small cavalry. I mean, the sheriff there's like one other cop, and they're literally
deputy,
just like and they're literally like 2 firefighters, and I'm like, okay, so I guess not a lot of resources in this town.
Whenever an instance like this happens, I just imagine like the guy from Jurassic Park, and instead he's saying like some expensive spade.
Almost. It's a small town. They only need 2 cops,
Some expensive spade, exactly.
A small town in Michigan, somewhere.
Dream Valley or whatever it's called. Like
the Falls.
This whole climax is that all the cinematography gets really dark, like out of nowhere. Everything is really hard
because they had to black out all the windows to hide that it's still the same afternoon as the previous scene with David Carradine.
Exactly. Well, the David Carradine.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Yes,
when you get him, like he's like the only moment where he stands up, right, is the moment where he turns into a dummy, right, and his head splits in 2 and a flamethrower comes out. That's like probably like one of the best things that's happened in the entire franchise, right?
Yes,
it's an amazing effect. It kind of reminded me of either Terminator 2 or The Thing.
It was very The Thing. It was very The Thing.
Yeah,
like I like split in 2, like in a monstrous fashion, like
exactly, like that is very famous thing where some guy's head splits in half in The Thing, and different monster pops out. No, they're immersion like that. I do love the firefighters. Like, we gotta put this fire out, and, and then it kills them. How big is that fire? Who knows? It doesn't. It's magic.
It's living fire. It's he who walks behind the rose. It's like God flame, like whatever. It can be as big as it wants. It's like Sauron, man.
Yeah, they didn't have any mercury on them. That was the issue.
Yeah. Anyway, so David Carradine goads Fred Williamson into accosting him, like police brutality. He couldn't get rid of those pig instincts apparently. Anyway, so he grabs him by the neck, and then David Carradine's like, I got you right where I want you, And so
really?
he grabbed.
I mean, my take on it was that he actually didn't want any of this to happen, like because I think he knew if like this happens, then like I'm dead and everyone, everything goes to shit.
Well, I don't. Is that what was implied? I don't know if that was implied. I think it was just a puppet.
What's implied is that he was never a being in the first
Exactly.
place.
Exactly.
He was a puppet, like a meat puppet for Ezekiel.
Exactly. Ezekiel was always just puppeteering him. I don't think that he was ever. Ezekiel says afterward that he was never alive, or he's been dead for years, something like that.
Well, yeah, but that would imply he was alive at one point, and
Yeah,
Ezekiel
yeah,
probably,
killed him.
reanimated him. Yeah, maybe killed him, but then maybe reanimated. Okay, and
But
this is again like where
but you,
okay, so this is where the timeline problem happens, because if you think about it logically, there should have been, it shouldn't have been like a 1 year gap. It should have been like maybe like a 10-year gap, because like Ezekiel had to have become the prophet, then he had to have started off the cult, created this like puppet figure.
he had to have
You know
got
what I'm
like
saying?
fucking probably a lot of zoning laws, regulations to get through to create a commune. You probably had to do a lot of taxes to get tax exempt status.
No, but like putting even all of that aside, it's like there's a lot of history that's like supposedly that's kind of like implied there, but doesn't make sense with the timeline that's as presented in the movie. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
You know
if
why?
the guy has,
You know why?
yeah,
Because they didn't want Ezekiel to be immortal. But that's exactly what Urban Harvest did, and that got rid of
yeah.
that very cleanly. Just make the kid immortal.
Yeah, I think the impression I got that, oh yeah, he must have stopped aging or something after that incident. And that would have made sense, but I guess they didn't want to do that, Like and I'm just like, yeah, just say he's immortal, I mean, if this guy died years ago and you reanimated him with magic, like, to make him your figurehead, because and that's how I see it. I think he was a real being with a bit of his own, like he kind of had to play this role after he was brought back or whatever.
Like a ghoul.
Yeah, like a ghoul, exactly.
I feel like it's very much just it was just Ezekiel speaking through him, like a little what's it called, like a puppet, like one of the little soundtrack puppets, Muppet.
Yeah,
It's a funny impression. Anyway, so his head splits in half. A little turkey thing comes out, and then suddenly an off screen, which is clearly one of those miniature blow torches, comes out and melts prosthetic Fred Williamson's face off.
save the neck for me, Clark. It's a real great gag. This is and it's supposed to be the big twist of the movie too, right? Like this idea that like Ezekiel is the one in charge. David Carradine, he was only there for a scene. He was never really important. You just got fucking Iron Man 3'd.
Right. If only Ezekiel hadn't been in charge the entire time. If Ezekiel hadn't been like shown to be in charge every step of the way, or shown to have been possessed by he walking on the roads and given he walking on the roads powers, this twist would have been really impactful. we kind of gave the game away though.
No, I definitely think they shouldn't have had the like. I feel they should have cut that early scene with him and the fire and whatever. Because honestly, the whole movie would be better off without that.
Yeah,
or just have David Carradine in the movie more, right? Because like the fact that he's only in it for one scene before this, like at that point we're like, yeah, he wasn't really actually that important. So like he was only a character that people talked about while he was off screen, right? If he was truly the person who was behind all of this, it would have been like Isaac in the first movie, right? We would have seen him scheming and stuff. And who did we see scheming in this movie? We saw Ezekiel scheming.
And Ezekiel, I will say, of all of the child preachers we've seen so far, I really think Ezekiel is just like the weakest by far. Like the performance is just not there.
He deserves. He should be on a sitcom. He should be on a Party of Five. He's not Children of Corn material.
You should be Malcolm in the Middle. You're doing, but he's the problem is that he doesn't really have many speeches to do, and when he does speak, he like all of the other kids in the Children of the Corn movies, when they're supposed to be like the head of the whole cult, there's supposed to be like a level of adultness that comes to them, right? Like they're a kid that speaks like an adult, and that's what makes them creepy, right? And the problem is this kid just speaks like a kid. And you're like, okay, well, like this just doesn't, there's nothing menacing about this. So every time that those scenes happen, you're just like, okay, let's get to the next plot point.
He's very Jonathan Taylor Thomas coded. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that kind of vibe. Anyway, so Allison goes around and, okay, so it's been a lot more funny. Is that the right word to say? if these children of corn weren't all also adults playing teenagers at best, because Allison goes around with a fucking shotgun blasting away, and it's probably the best her character is, and it's really great. So I'm gonna check off attacking children on our bingo card here.
But
Finally,
she
her character
really,
has something to do.
well, and that's the thing. I was disappointed with the fact that she only gets to use the shotgun once. I mean,
She
just
drops
like,
it.
yeah, she drops it almost immediately. Like it's a really powerful weapon. Like you probably had like at least 4 more shells in there or something.
Well, hold on. Let me like ask you this question, right? So like put yourself in her shoes for a second, right? So like you just shot a child with a shotgun, right?
Right.
That's gonna weigh on your conscience for the rest of your life, So that's what we were saying.
You leave the evidence there with that shotgun with your prints on it, man.
Exactly.
You're fucked for life. Anyway, I do also love the gag of Shaggy, the Shaggy guy. Like he rescues her by hitting one of the other cultists with a baseball bat, and the baseball bat just shatters to pieces in his hand. It's great. That's again just whoop, Hanna-Barbera sound effect. You can totally do it. I'm really tempted to do it.
Laugh track kicks in. Yeah.
Anyway, so Fred has hot-wired the police car, and they're on their way to get to her, but he gets chased off by more cultists. And let's see here, they're in the cornfield, and they go to a barn, and then they see Jacob, her brother, and he's still alive, thankfully.
Snooze fest. This is when we're in like deep snooze fest of this climax, right?
Yeah,
Like
I don't care about
this
them.
is like, oh, okay. Like I'm not like learning anything new. It's just like, oh, okay.
No, I like that. I like their final scene. I really did. I think it's interesting how, when she asks him, wait, but you didn't know about them killing people, and he does not answer, right? So again, there's like, I like this. I like because it's pretty okay. He clearly knew stuff. There's this like more of this implied history that that would have been interesting to see and explore. But
yeah, it'd been tragic. It's like I'm up to the part where you're talking about, and he's like, fuck it, but there's still time to stop him now. Is good because like if he can't make up for what he's done, he's just trying to stop it now, which is kind of opportunist, but it's very truthful. It's very real. It's a good real scene.
Yeah.
And you know what? God damn it. These movies always have such good ideas in between such bullshit, I feel like every time we watch another one of these, we get closer to what could be a really good Children of the Corn movie. Like what could be like a definitive one. And yet they never quite reach it. Urban Harvest is fun for what it is. It's like the most complete, I think we agree, of what it was trying to be. But all these other movies have like good ideas that you would want to see explored in a Children of the Corn movie. And I feel like you can still do it. And will it ever be? Who knows?
But is this like also like what if this is like a Vincenzo Natali Cube situation, right? Or like no matter what you do, you just can't get it right. And the problem is just like the ingredients, Like what if this is a situation where like Children of the Corn, the franchise itself, like the original source material wasn't all that great, the original movie wasn't all that great, and like we're trying to do is try to find like the perfect ideal. And what if it's just this combination of ideas just doesn't exactly work, and it like maybe it needs to be iterated in a way that's separate from even the source material. Like that's my one wonder about this franchise, right? Is like maybe it just needs to do something completely outside of the box to where it needs to move so far outside of what we've seen or expected from Stephen King or anything else. I don't know. I'm just spitballing at this point because
like Zach Krieger's Resident Evil.
Yeah, honestly, that might have to be the case, right? Like, and for the record, I have no problem with that announcement. Like, I think that sounds good to me.
I mean, come on, we've gotten like 8 or 11 movies of Resident Evil that have nothing to do with anything. So
for sure,
yeah.
Resident Evil, also, like, play the Resident Evil games and then like talk to me about caring about narrative cohesion.
Hey, now not too much on Resident Evil 0, okay?
Well, no, but hold on now, right?
Billy and Wreck-It Chambers are heroes in my house.
I mean, cohesion-wise, it's funny. I was replaying Resident Evil 2 on the Dreamcast not too long ago, and it was interesting because now I could see, oh, okay, yeah, so they clearly narrative cohesion wasn't part of the schema, back in like the 90s. Games were not that, or at least like games like this. I don't know about RPGs and stuff, but narrative was like something secondary. It was more like the gameplay has to come first. You build like narrative cutscenes around those things. Right? Games that honestly you try to make sense of their plot, and it just you can't do it. I mean, I've been like, there's a JRPG that I'm really fond of that's supposedly very story heavy. And I'm just like, when you think about it, all of the plot points here, they don't add up like at all. But like I would say more recently, no, the Resident Evil games have become better with things like narrative, or rather, at least like in terms of providing like a cinematic experience or having characters who are whose journeys like are legitimately like emotionally like enthralling and cohesive.
It's everything since 7, right? Like 7 was the point where things really started to feel like they mattered, right? Everything up until that point, it was like, okay, we're gonna just roll the dice and try to make it work, right? When it comes to
Revelations 2, though. Revelations 2 is just, I would say, if you're looking for at least emotional character coherence, like that game, I think, is just miles above. And that was after Resident Evil 6. That was like 2015. So I would say before Resident Evil 7, yeah, there was Revelations 2.
Yes. Anyway, Children of Corn 5. So they get to the barn, and they find the really hip couple's car, because for some reason the cult didn't blow it up, even though they had no use for it. It's fucking there. Anyway, and so Shaggy is like, I gotta fix the car, but then the cultists tried to break in, and so Fred and Velma try to keep the door closed, and the Fred guy, Tyrus, what the fucking name, gets a chainsaw to cut off some of the arms, or hurt some of the arms trying to open the barn gate, but he gets sneak attacked by the farmhand guy, and then killed, and he's dead. And you can definitely see the blood pack underneath his shirt burst, and it's just delayed.
That was that shot was really weird. Like just like the way that I was wondering, did they cut stuff out of there? It just felt like so weirdly edited to me.
They're just cutting around what they can't reshoot.
Also, this movie is like pretty poorly made, right? Like there's a moment earlier on where you can see like a PA standing in the background. And
what?
Like there's another scene where like literally there's a part where like in a wide shot you can see on the far right there's a PA that's just like standing there, and then there's another shot where like they're in a room and like Ezekiel's supposed to have left the room, and then like the camera turns and it's a mirror shot, right? And then the mirror shows Ezekiel standing in the corner of the room just like against the wall, motionless.
That PA thing, you think that's why they're all wearing regular clothes?
Yeah, exactly. They just like cut their losses, just make it seem like they're blending in.
Exactly.
I guess I was not paying as much attention to that because I didn't notice any of those errors. I mean, I don't know.
No, you're so wrapped up. You were in the story.
Yeah, you remember when Lord of the Rings had like a car apparently going in the background of like one of the Shire shots or something.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, but you would never know, right? Because you're just in it.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I always feel like it's weird how nobody at this point, Eva Mendes' character does not come up. Like I was expecting there to at least be, like I was expecting at least like there to be something like that. Like she was like, "What did you do to Kier?" Or whatever. Oh, she just went and threw herself into the volcano.
I think they know she killed herself though, because otherwise, why they get the cops?
No. After when they joined up, when they
and the cops stoked the fire.
No. But when they joined up, afterwards, like when even after all of this, like she runs out, she rejoins them. And they're like, "Where's Kier? I thought she was with you." That's the last time they mention her.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like
I think
barely any moment to like mourn her loss.
I think that just
Yeah.
like me, the screenwriter probably thought they knew.
Mm.
Like, did I write that? I probably did. Well, we'll see when the
Yeah,
movie
I'll
comes
take your
out.
word for it. Yeah.
But anyway, so the saggy guy's trying to fix the car, but then he gets cornered by guy with blowtorch and the girl with the braids, and he gets an insanely unearned death scene where he decides to cut the gas line on the car. He's underneath it trying to fix it, and he gets a hold of the blowtorch. He's like, I'm taking you guys with me," and it's a giant fucking explosion that rocks the entire barn under this fucking tiny ass car. And then that's the end of him. So, anyway.
It's
So
very
yeah, like
unceremonious.
yeah, but we lost. It was cool though, like, and we lost like what, like several big characters in like what,
Were
like
they
a span of
big?
5 minutes.
I mean, they were main characters. I won't call them big characters. Greg, his name was Greg. Forgot it for a second.
Anyway, I don't know. I like what, like, again, to me, like, this is again the high point of the climax. Everything afterwards just feels like they ran out of money. You know what I mean? Because we've seen like we've seen like He Who Walks Behind the Rose, like basically flamethrower some people. Now it's like there's an explosion. It really felt like there was a sense of escalation that kind of leads up to this moment, and now it's like, okay, so pretty much all of the supporting cast members are dead.
Yeah,
I
it's
did that.
very
Yeah.
sudden. It's very sudden.
Well, they
right?
have
And
to.
it's supposed. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Elvis.
Well, they have to because otherwise there'd be no deaths for the rest of the entire fucking movie. They kept them all alive for some reason up until this time. Because I guess again, I think time management was a factor. Because it does, as we mentioned, doesn't feel like the movie begins until like when we're 60 or 70% of the way through. And at that point, you basically, I don't think you can lose any of their characters earlier because none of them have done anything and they haven't even gone to the fucking farm yet or anything like that. And so, yeah, no, I do think that things go to overdrive, but that's because of necessity, not because they really kind of planned it that way. You just said it has to, otherwise nothing happens. It just has to.
I mean, maybe, but to me, it just felt like no. There was kind of like a buildup. It's like one of those movies that likes to keep its cards. Kind of that likes to build things out, and then it's just like once it gets to Act 3, that's when all the shit starts to really go down. Like like domino effect, one after the other. It's like so it's kind of a long buildup to that release eventually.
I mean, I guess you could see it that way. I just feel like it's basically more out of necessity than anything else. Anyway, so Allison decides to kill the flame by putting fertilizer on it. But Ezekiel hooks her in the back and tries to strangle her. But she knocks his ass into the flame as well, and then does the fertilizer. And then everything explodes because she just made fucking napalm, bitch.
That's how it's done.
Yeah, I have to say though, like, yeah, that was very like
Why
that
would causing more flame cause the flame to die?
fight fire with fire, like like because it's like one kind of flame gets consumed by another. Who knows?
I don't.
But honestly, I was disappointed with just like, I mean, shouldn't Ezekiel have like force powers? Like, couldn't he like do the lightning
Right,
thing?
he did. Why is he doing like hand fighting with these people? Just blow him up like he did the old man. Maybe he can only do that once. If he only did that once.
Now, I will say though, I looked at that again, and it's interesting how her face was turning red, like it was starting to glow, kind of like David Carradine's right before he, kind of sort of blew up himself. So I think like they were trying to maybe do something of that supernatural effect there, but still it felt like, yeah, like just we're out of money, so okay, just like stab and like throw him down there or whatever.
Yeah, we're done. Let's call it a day. Anyway, so she leads the children out of the cornfield. They're still fucking cultists. Nothing about this was supernatural, really. They're probably all murderers, sociopaths, but it's happy. She leads them to true freedom.
Like the first movie again, right?
Mm.
Like, you're free now. Stupid kind of like corniness, pun intended.
Anyway, so she becomes a fucking Mormon apparently, and goes around to the families, door to door, and so I guess this is her nephew, and so let's see here, the little baby, her brother's baby, I presume. And she calms it down, and it turns out it's got evil demon. He who walks behind the row eyes. So is it his baby, or was Ezekiel mixing the plot? We'll never know. We'll never know.
Is this a crossover with It's Alive? Who knows?
And anyway,
mean-
that's fucking Guild of Terror, man. No sequel.
I mean, it's I feel that I just think that was Jacob's child. It's just because of him being anointed and whatever. It's like a hint that like the kid is gonna be like the next. He's like the next prophet. Like that whole like you can't kill he who walks behind the rose. He's like the eternal flame. He's gonna come back in some way.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's the idea that like the evil gets passed along. We're now like 3 sequels deep, the 4 sequels deep, where it's just like presenting cliffhangers that will just not be resolved in the next one, right? So it's just another version of that where it's like, oh, we're gonna show that this is the way that it's going to continue, but like the next movie will not pick up on that, especially because we know that the next one's the one where Isaac returns.
Oh, yeah, finally, the ending of the trilogy of one final sacrifice and this perfect trilogy.
This is 6 movies, so this is actually kind of more like the Star Wars trilogy, right? So this is going to be like the Return of the Jedi.
Oh my god! But yeah, Isaac is returning. It's crazy. It's crazy. He finally. They took him fucking this long to pull the trigger on this.
The residuals got that low.
I guess given the timeline and everything, that would make Children of the Corn 6 a Legacy sequel, right?
Yeah, it would be. We'll see how it stacks up, though.
Right. I mean, because the first movie was, I think, like 84, right? 84, 85, and then Isaac's return is what, like 2000 or something?
It's 1999. Yeah. Right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's only like 14 years. Okay, like in production time.
Well, I think that the main character is someone who was born around the time of the first movie, and let's see here, it was played by an actress who was, let's see here, 24.
Well, not that big of a gap, all things considered.
We've seen this franchise do similar moves before.
Anyway, so Field of Terror. I you know what I gotta say, I would call this my third favorite.
Second.
It's uneven. It's very empty, but like aside from all the stuff that the rest of the other movies have already been, in terms of just the lacklusterness and the stuff that just doesn't gel together, I do like the attempts at broadening the genre of the different kinds of filmmaking approach taken to this. It doesn't make it feel too formulaic. It does feel like this is, if not a breath of fresh air, at least cracking open the window a bit. And so I felt like something that was too much close to like The Gathering or even Urban Harvest would have made this feel stale. And this is like, okay, I'm getting a little bit of a second wind here. There might be some fun ahead if there's weird shit like this moving forward. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, like I felt that this movie actually kind of made me appreciate the last one more because like in that movie it was so much
Oh,
more about atmosphere, you know? And I was like, okay, I appreciate at least the consistent atmosphere more than I appreciated this film's attempt at normalcy, right? And I agree with what you just said there, Elvis, where it's
Mm.
like I do have some hope for the sequels in some of the campiness that's present in this one, but I also am a bit worried about how desperate the tonal management is. And I do hope that at least in the sequels, like whatever movie they decide to make, they stick to that movie. You know what I mean?
I
Because that's
100%
where a lot of
agree.
my issues stem from with this one.
I mean,
And like I wouldn't say this is like by any means one of the worst Children of the Corn. This is closer to the top of the list for me still. But there's still moments where I have reservations.
yeah, no, I feel like this could have definitely taken another pass at the script. And I think that's common for most of these. But yeah, no, I agree. I think this is again, The Gathering is still my second favorite. That's because of the tonal stuff. Like this is something that if it had a story worth telling, would have been really good. You know, and so this one, if it picked the lane, either being really campy and silly or doing something interesting and hard hitting with the cult stuff, would have worked wonders. But you know, it's a mishmash. But you, Mikkel, final thoughts?
still I would say still my second favorite. Just I feel I appreciate a lot of what this movie does, even if it doesn't do everything well. I think it's a major step up from the last film. Um, and I mean, yeah, there is definitely a vision here. I like the take that it has on the cult. I liked how this felt like something more, I guess, recognizable. Um, the way that it approached this, and again, there are maybe I'm reading a lot of things into it, but I do feel that there were things here that were at least like partially intended, story wise, that work for me. And again, I think it has a very cool, uh, it has a very cool run, like for about 15 minutes there, throughout its through its third act. I mean, just in terms of how it builds to that and the way that it executes its climax, I don't know, just as a movie, I think it works very well for what it is. Um, just out of curiosity, what did you guys think of this film's take on He Who Walks Behind the Rose, especially compared to the first four movies?
Barely in it. I like the Freddy Krueger guy from the Gathering more.
For He Who Walks Behind the Rose, like he's more of like a ideology in this movie, which I
Yeah,
guess works.
Yeah,
But I think that Urban Harvest still does it the best. I think that, like if I'm gonna watch one of these movies, I still want like the cheesiest,
you want the big
campiest version.
monster. You want the big
Yeah,
monster. Yeah,
exactly. Like until we get to the point where like we somehow find the dramatically compelling version of this, I'm gonna want the campy version of this. You know what I mean?
yeah. I feel
yeah,
like the Gathering is probably gonna be the closest to like a compelling version. If only because it's like a locus kind of person. Cult of personality around that individual. It's like a Candyman kind of thing. Um, but
it has
other
a
than that,
face.
yeah. But other than that, like I guess you're right. It's more of an ideology. If there wasn't a giant evil demonic burning uh burning pile of corn, I would like it better, honestly. The fact that there's a burning pile of corn. If it was just like, them being taken in by the idea of He Walks Behind the Rose rather than showing that fucking green demonic flame, I would like it more. I'd be like, this is a bold take, this is a little more grounded, but it's a little more scary. Just having the green flame in addition to that, this makes it too silly without going over into something that's more entertaining. That's where I'm at. But let's look at the bingo card. Okay, so let's see here.
Let me get my stamps out.
So cornfield, yes. Corn-based kills.
Yes.
Really? Have we got any of those?
Oh, you mean killing with corn?
Yes, it's corn being a part of it.
Yeah, like the corn stalk going into somebody. I don't think that anything like that does happen in this movie.
We're gonna go with that. No, then farm-based kills, yes. Now, brunette little boy who speaks weird, no, he's ginger. He's very fair-haired.
We're gonna be racist here.
Yeah,
Gingers aren't allowed.
we're gonna subheading any little kid that speaks weird. All right, just for Ezekiel here, he's got an asterisk here.
Inclusivity, you know.
Yeah. Prophetic drawings, no. The Shining, no. Attacking kids, we said yes. He talks, yeah. Well, talking adults pretending to be kids, you know. Yes. He Who Walked Behind the Rose, yes. Bad Possession FX, I would say 100% yes.
Yes.
Surprisingly common entry.
Yes. Religion, yes. Climax in the cornfield. Yeah.
Kind of?
I mean, the silo counts. It has corn in it. So, yes.
It's a part of the corn process.
Choral chanting? No.
Oh, that's sadly... I missed the choral chanting.
Will 6 have it back? It should, right?
Isaac returns and so does the theme.
Yes,
great.
How the theme not been in any of the other fucking movies? It's insane. It's like if you had Michael Myers, the Halloween series, never fucking use the Michael theme. It'd be insane, right?
Every time John Carpenter just gave it to a different pop artist, you know?
Yeah.
And he makes money from it. I think he literally talked about how I think one of the things he liked. I could swear he
said the remake. Yes.
Like every time they make another movie, they have to pay me.
Yes.
Relatable. Good for him.
So, and the last thing is killing the adults, which but it seems to be more like an end goal than like a current priority, which is interesting. An interesting departure. Anyway, so. That's Field of Terror. It exists. I'm definitely gonna think about trying to edit this thing into something a little bit more ridiculous. If I can find something that has like different audio track levels, I'll probably do it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna try to do like any audio splitting or anything like that. That's too much work for this shit. But if I find something that has like audio levels to it, I think I'm gonna do it.
I enjoy your optimism to imagine that this film is that well preserved.
I know, right?
Anyway, I would recommend if you do that, just put it in clip form on YouTube. You know, upload
the whole thing. Upload the whole thing. It's got to be like if somebody you're gonna commit to the bit, you know, like people got to sit down. They got to watch the whole ass thing. That's my opinion.
The Scooby-Doo cut.
Because it would totally fucking work. I'm telling you, there's not a lot here. Dun 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 dun. You know. Dun, dun, dun.
I think like just adding the music and the laugh track alone would just like send this into the stratosphere. Like every time like Eva Mendes just has like vacant eyes like staring around, like perfect comedic gold.
Yes, 100%. Anyway, any other last thoughts on this? Have we exhausted the oasis that is Field of Terror?
The only thing I'll say is that I feel so bad for the people in Blockbusters who were like tricked into renting these movies, right? Because like that's what these were for. Like I just can't imagine like somebody coming in for like their Friday night and they're just like, you know what, Children of the Corn 5, you know.
But you know what? I would say anything's better than 2. You know, at least
that's
know. It all worked out. It's all good in the neighborhood. Okay.
That's for sure. I just want to say that I am pleasantly surprised by the series as a whole. Like it overall, you know, it's a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be. Because because previously I had only seen maybe like 2 or 3 films out of the whole franchise, and now it's just catching up with these other entries like Urban Harvest and this one. I'm just like, no, you know what? There's like something here. I mean, you can't say any of these movies are legitimately good, but they're a lot like better than you would expect like direct to video fair like this to be. You know,
I
and
I
definitely
agree.
like
I
like, like
agree.
and definitely holds up better than the Hellraiser movies. I will say that. Like the later ones. You know.
Mm.
All right. How about you, Tony? Any last thoughts?
I don't know. Like really, this is a situation where like the Children of the Corn franchise is like a anthropological study that we're doing, right? And like I feel like in the context of going through these things, I'm having a great time. I would really struggle to recommend any of these movies like outside of the context of this, but I do think that like analyzing where these kinds of films were at these points in time is very fascinating, and I think it's actually going to get more fascinating as it goes along. And when it comes to this one in particular, it's like, I'd feel bad for somebody renting it at Blockbuster. When it comes to like the larger spreadsheet, I'm sure it will score pretty high. I don't know. It's a movie that like I will certainly have faint memories of. And also, actually, if I have a final thought, this is my final thought. Okay,
Mhm.
so both of you guys, right? I want you to do this right now. I know the podcast is an audio only format, but I want you to do this physically, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to take your arm, right,
Mhm.
whichever arm you prefer, and I want you to extend it in front of you, right?
Mhm.
And then I want you to wrap it around whatever shoulder, right? And then I want you to give yourself a pat on the back because none of us made a single autoerotic asphyxiation joke about
Oh
David
my God, you're
Carradine.
right. We
We,
didn't.
we totally let him rest in peace, and I think that's a shame. We should have
You,
talked about him
you,
dying
you
from
know,
something off more often.
no. You know
Wait,
what? You know what? Being a field of terror was enough.
Yeah, that was enough of an indignity. That's right.
anyway, anyway, so let's wrap it up here. Tony, where can I find you?
Yes, so that's my Twitter page right there. You can find me at poor old Rolo Tony, where I'm tweeting up a storm. And then you can also find me at the show that I co-host, where unfortunately my co-host and other co-host of this very broadcast, the Doug Files, is not here, but we co-host a show called These Guys Got Shoes. And when it comes to, you can look forward to, we've got we're rounding out our coverage on the Pit. So, we'll be doing a series season finale for that. We'll also be talking about Euphoria. Every episode of that we'll be covering. And then when it comes to future movie conversations, get ready for The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. But beyond that, I'm going to leave it there. Hand it off to you.
All right. So, Mikhail, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MLS532. You can also find me on Substack at textualvariations.substack.com. I am, as usual, I'm just like, telling people that, yeah, I am writing about the Sonyverse these days, hoping to have a really big Morbius article out, going to talk about what the original Spider-Man 3 was going to be, all the what those what those what those scenes in the trailer were about that were never in the final movie, all that good stuff. Yeah.
You know what?
Hell yeah.
I'm interested. Anyway, so Children of Corn 5, Fields of Terror. We're still not halfway done. Next week, we're at the halfway point. And you know what? It's been a blast. We're gonna see Isaac return. Will quality return to the series as well? Time will tell. All right. Anyway, see you again next time. Have a great week. Okay.
Keep corning.